Hi, my name is Lily, and I'm 8 years old. I live in a small town where everyone knows each other. I have freckles, tiny brown spots on my face. And I always thought they were something special, like little stars. My mom always told me that my freckles are what makes me unique, and that they're a family trait. I like to think my freckles made me look like a character from a fairy tale. I would draw pictures and often added freckles to my characters because I thought they made people special. But when I started school, things weren't at all like I'd imagined. Other kids looked at me strangely and immediately started teasing. They called me Spotty or Freckle Face. Someone even said I looked like a dirty stain, and every time I walked by, the kids would start whispering or giggling. Sometimes, I felt they'd gather in groups just to laugh at me, and each day at school became a real challenge. The hardest moment was in the cafeteria. One day I sat down at a table, and the girls nearby immediately jumped up and moved to another, as if I were contagious. They started giggling and whispering, and I distinctly heard one of them say, "Careful, freckles are contagious." I felt so ashamed and hurt that I couldn't even finish my lunch, and just ran to the bathroom to cry. Those words hurt deeply, and I began to think that maybe there was actually something wrong with my freckles. It all came to a breaking point when one morning, I found a note on my locker. It had the word "Ginger" written in big letters. My heart stopped. I was so hurt that I almost burst into tears right there in the school hallway. I stood there trying to understand why they treated me this way. At that moment, I heard a voice. It was Jake, the new boy in our class, who had only recently moved to our town. He came up to me and quietly asked, "Hey Lily, are you okay?" I didn't know what to say, so I just stayed silent. Then he said, "I think your freckles are cool. They're like little stars on your face. You don't look like anyone else, and that's awesome." At first, I couldn't believe my ears. No one had ever said anything like that to me, especially at school. Those words felt like a warm hug. I looked at Jake and saw him smiling at me. The next day, Jake invited me to sit with him at the lunch table. It was something no one else had dared to do. The other kids looked surprised, but I didn't care. I knew that at least one person supported me. Jake told me funny stories, and we both laughed as if we'd known each other for ages. Gradually, other kids started coming over to our table. They saw that Jake was friendly with me and stopped making fun of my freckles. It seemed like I was now just Lily, the girl with freckles, and no one paid them any attention anymore. I started to feel happy and confident. One morning, when I arrived at school, I noticed that Jake was nowhere to be found. I searched the whole school, ran through the hallways, peeked into every classroom, but he was nowhere. Then I saw his parents near the principal's office. They looked very serious, and I didn't dare approach. A thought flashed through my mind that Jake might have moved away or gone back to his old town. When I got home and asked my mom about Jake, she told me that his family had moved unexpectedly. He left so suddenly that he didn't have a chance to say goodbye, but left a small note for me. I opened it, and it said, "Don't forget, you're a galaxy. Don't let anyone make you feel lonely." The next day when I arrived at school, I thought my classmates would start laughing at me again, but instead, they all applauded me. I was surprised and didn't understand what was happening until I heard over the loudspeaker that I was being called to the principal's office. What did I do now? I thought to myself. I entered the office, and the principal pulled out a fresh issue of a fashion magazine, and on the cover was me. I couldn't understand how this happened, but then I noticed the photographer's signature in the corner, Jacob. It was the very first photo he had taken. I couldn't believe my luck. That day, they decided to make me the face of the school, and suddenly, all the girls wanted to be friends with me and be like me. But I always tell them one important thing: stay true to yourself, because that's what makes you special.
My name is Hannah, and I'm just a regular girl from California. I used to have a lot of friends in my own rock band, where I was the lead singer. We'd get together in the evenings, write songs, and play guitars. Music was my way to express my emotions, and our concerts gave me a real sense of freedom and happiness. But everything changed when my parents divorced, and my mom decided we needed a fresh start in a new city. We moved, and I started at a new school. From the first days, it was clear I wasn't welcome. Classmates whispered behind my back, and someone even put gum in my bag. I tried to find common ground, but they just laughed and pretended I didn't exist. Among all my classmates, one stood out, Katie, the most beautiful and popular girl in school. She was always surrounded by attention and seemed to be the star of this place. You'd think she could be my friend, especially since we both shared a passion for music. But instead, she chose a different role. Katie turned out to be a real bully, always finding ways to mock or humiliate me whenever she got the chance. Her disdain was obvious to everyone. She clearly believed being the center of attention was her privilege, and no one else deserved it. After a few weeks, I felt like a total outsider in this new town and school. To distract myself, I'd come home and pick up my guitar. Singing always calmed me down. One day a talent show was announced, and I decided to give it a try. When I approached some kids to suggest joining their group, they just laughed. The lead singer, Katie, sneered, "You sing? We've gathered professionals here, not just anyone." After that, I decided I'd prepare on my own. However, the day before the show, something unexpected happened. Katie got sick, and the group was suddenly left without a chance. They tried to find a replacement, but no one seemed right. Then, one of the guys reluctantly came up to me. "Hannah, could you help us?" I hadn't forgotten their mockery or that humiliating moment with Katie, but something inside me said this was my chance to show them what I could do, so I agreed. When we got on stage, I sang like never before. Everything I had bottled up inside, the hurt, the fear, but also strength and determination, I poured into that voice. The song ended, and the audience erupted in applause. Katie, who wasn't there that evening, could only hear the stories about how we'd won everyone over. A producer in the audience noticed us and offered the group a contract to record an album. It was the kind of opportunity people dream about. When Katie returned to school, she found her popularity had faded. Now everyone was talking about our performance and how I had saved their group. Katie felt forgotten, and I noticed that. I approached her and offered to sing together again, without holding on to the past. She was surprised but accepted my offer. After all, what matters most is being able to forgive and move forward. And now, we've truly become a team. Now I'm accepted in class, not because I sang, but because I was able to forgive.
Hi, my name is Tom, and I'm 9 years old. Since I was very young, I've loved to draw. I could sit for hours with pencils and a sketchbook, getting lost in the world of lines and colors. My parents always supported me and told me I had talent. They bought me bright pencils, markers, and drawing pads. At school, I dreamed of showing my work and doing something beautiful for my classmates, but it turned out to be more difficult than I thought. Right from the first days, the other kids started teasing me, calling me little artist in a mocking tone. They thought drawing was a silly, pointless thing. Sometimes, someone would purposely throw my pencils on the floor, and I'd have to pick them up around the classroom. Once, a few boys grabbed my sketchbook out of my hands and started drawing over my pictures. They laughed, saying that art was meaningless and that drawings were just a waste of time. I tried to ignore it, but it was hard. One day, I decided to draw Emma, a girl from my class that I really liked. Emma was the prettiest girl in school. She had long, dark hair and was always smiling brightly and kindly. I wanted to make her portrait special, putting all my feelings into it. I drew her during recess, hiding the drawing so no one would see it before it was finished. I was almost done when one of the boys came up to my desk and grabbed the paper from my hand. He laughed out loud, held up the drawing, and started showing it to everyone, shouting, "Tom's in love with Emma!" My face turned red, and I was so embarrassed I wished I could disappear. But then something unexpected happened. Emma, hearing her name, walked over and asked for the drawing back. She took it, looked at it for a long time, and then suddenly smiled at me and said, "Tom, you drew me beautifully. You have talent." At that moment, I felt my heart stop. She didn't laugh. Instead, she acknowledged my art, calling me talented. From that day on, I had hope that maybe drawing wasn't such a pointless activity after all. Some time passed, and our school announced a contest for the best poster for the school holiday. Each class had to create its own unique poster. My classmates immediately thought of me and asked if I could help them. Honestly, after everything they'd done to me, I was hesitant. Deep down, I still felt hurt. But then I remembered Emma's words and realized I didn't want to hold a grudge. Instead, I wanted to show that I could be kind and generous. I agreed and spent the entire evening drawing the poster, adding bright colors, beautiful patterns, and fun characters. The next day, when I brought the finished poster, everyone was thrilled. Some of the kids who had teased me before came up and said the poster was amazing. Even the teacher praised me in front of the whole class. After that, the kids started treating me differently. Now, they saw that my drawing wasn't just a hobby, but something important and valuable. Soon, some of those who had teased me before started asking for my help with drawings. Some wanted a nice card for their parents, and others wanted an illustration for a school project. And I helped each one, without bringing up their teasing, because I understood that kindness is more important than holding grudges. At the end of the year, at the school fair, I drew a big picture of all my classmates together. Everyone was there, those who had teased me and those who had supported me. I drew everyone as they were, adding many details to show that each of them was unique. When I showed the drawing, the kids gathered around me, and I saw gratitude in their eyes. They realized that I had done this even though they had teased me, and that I saw something good in each of them. Emma, standing nearby, said, "Tom, you're not just an artist, you're a true friend.